Hello everyone. It feels bittersweet and strange to write like this, as this will be my last presentation. I will start by hoping this presentation will be a good story for everyone who is listening and watching this video. What I am going to talk about in this presentation is driving relationships with my father. I will explain in turn the motive of my driving skills, the process of it, and the conversation with my dad one by one. A driver's license to drive a vehicle. In Korea, it is a certificate that could be obtained only when one becomes legally adult. Therefore, there are many people who want to get it as soon as they become legally adults, which gave them the image that this is the first progress of becoming an adult. The fact that we can drive really feels like an unknown world to our young people. In my case, there is a reason why I want to drive like this. As a child who has been crazy about cars since like 3 years old, I was fond of cars, both toys and in real life. I still collect some toys until today. As a kid, I have seen my parents driving cars and talking with each other in front of me at the driver's seat. Also, I saw my grandfather driving up and down the mountain in a four-wheel drive SUV. Looking at both sides of 3 adults, I really wanted to drive. I even used to sit in the driver's seat of my mom's car, saying I would drive, even though the ignition wasn't on. Eventually, I turned 20 and tried to get a license, but I heard news about the driver's license test. I was told that the test is going to change the contents that was too easy. So I waited with the determination that I would drive with the proper skills by doing the harder test. And I finally got my license obtained last year, and soon after, the opportunity to drive soon came. After taking driving lessons at an academy, my father renewed his insurance so that I could drive his car. Suddenly, I feel like I have become something more than an adult. After renewing my insurance for the car and driving, I have been driving with my father on his way to work in the morning. Sometimes I drive him returning home, and once I drove a car alone to bring the car to my father. It wasn't driving skills that changed the most. It was the time of conversation with my father in private. That was the most change I had. My father runs a private hospital in Wangsinli, Seongdong-gu. He works at the hospital from morning to evening and walks out at a nearby tennis court afterwards. He has maintained this lifestyle since 2000, but when he comes back home in Songpabu, it will be too late to have such a conversation with us. Even if he returns home as soon as possible after finishing the exercise, he will arrive almost after 9 o'clock, which is too late to talk with anyone. Also, it was difficult to have proper one-on-one conversation between the two of us on weekends or other holidays, since we had to go on our own schedules or have to go on family trips, which was not that private. Because of this situation, my driving practice time was really the one and only moment that my dad and I are alone with each other. So it was the best time to have a personal conversation. Let's listen to the actual recording.
이거 저기 아침에 세수할 때
물로 닦으라고요?
비누로 해서 한번 닦고 그러면
그렇게 하면은 뭔가 끝날 때쯤에는 물짤국이 남게 돼가지고.
아 그건 있지. 근데 이제 그런 다음 이걸로 한번 닦는 거지. 이게 자꾸 이 기름이 튀거든 이게.
아이 진짜 저도 딱 동감해요. 기름, 사람 기름. 눈앞에서 놓쳤네요 신호를.
괜찮아. 천천히 가. 저기 가면 딱 가면 돼. 알지 무슨 얘기인지.
네 알아요.
결혼식 가서도 그냥 인사 가볍게 하고 말어 막 얘기하지 말고.
알았어요. 저도 이거 결혼식을 가봤잖아요.
아니 그러니까 안 가봤다는 게 아니고 임마 가면 네가 생각한 말에 10분의 1만 해도 돼 사실.
알았어요.
You will know when you hear this voice clip. In the car, we talk a lot. In short, I talk about the tips of driving the car or the surroundings with my father. Or my father sometimes nags me with driving skills or in normal life symptoms. In a way, it seems like a story can be told without having to do in the car, but there is a big difference. In the car, we could have a conversation without interruption, or something else, because there are only two people, me and my father, and it is also impossible to give up and go away from the story as usual. I often ignore or avoid nagging from my parents, but I can't do that in the car, so I have to hear and recognize proper feedback about the nagging. My father also said that there are many advantages talking with me. Likewise, he said that having such a private time seems to make the conversation more diverse. However, he also said that he wants to drive on his own. He thinks it's more fast, and I am not that of a good driver. There are so many things I gained from driving like this. I started practicing driving, hoping my skills will improve. But in reality, I talk more than I have listened ever, and got nagged a lot. After breaking up with my father at Songdong-gu, I walk home for my health and I think about the talks with him or the nags. Of course, I don't want to hear nagging apart from which was right or wrong. Sometimes I get annoyed when I drive. Conversation can narrow the difference and distance between people, but it can also widen the goal. I also told my father that arguing can hurt both sides. I think it's better to approach with caution, and people will know each other more easily. I think this is my end. Thank you for listening.